This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, June 18, 2024 North Haven Fire Commission meeting to order. I'd like everyone to please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to ask for the approval of the minutes of the Board of Fire Commission regular meeting held on May 16, 2024. So moved. Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So moved. The Chief's report.
Good evening. We'll cover alarms as we normally do. So I'll start with year-to-date. Year-to-date this time last year, we were at 2,185 alarms. Year-to-date this year, 2,163. The last time that we met for commission meeting was on May 16th. So the next set of numbers are going to cover a period of time from May 16th until yesterday, June 17th. So we've provided ALS intercepts on 19 different occasions, 15 incident responses to the highway, 109 incidents in which just an ambulance responded and no fire department asset was required. We had 171 overlapping calls out of 429 incidents altogether, which accounts for a 40% overlap of incidents.
How much?
40%. 39.8, I think, to be exact. So that covers the alarms. In terms of the budget, we're going to cover through the end of June, which is, at this point, there are very, very few, if any, POs being pulled because there's such a short period of time left until the end of June. And so these numbers are going to change, but not a lot. We have one more payroll period left. And so at this point in time, this pay period, we're at 97.1%. We closed last year at 99.5%. And so we'll have to see what payroll does this next time around, but we're going to be on budget or very, very close to it as we start to close out this fiscal year. I don't have any further revenue to report, and that's because the Board of Finance has not reported on revenue since its April meeting, and so the numbers I had were through March, and I haven't received any further numbers because they haven't discussed it any further. But the next time they do, I'll probably be able to give you what the revenue is going to be through the end of the fiscal year, my anticipation is. Vehicle maintenance line, remember, as you're looking through that on the budget, we expect about $12,000 to $18,000 to be returned to that line for a reimbursement for the elimination of some hazardous foam. That's part of a state reimbursement package, and so as you look through the budget, just realize that line will have some additional funds added to it. Number of staffing shortages that I want to cover with the commission. Some of these you've been informed of, some of these have occurred since we last met. So we had one member that was out long-term sick leave from January 2nd, and they recently returned on May 27th. So that was an absence for about four and a half months. We had one member out on long-term sick leave. This member departed on May 15th and remains out on long-term sick leave through present day. We had one member on injury leave from February 27th until June 3rd. That member is returned. We've had one member on extended sick leave from March 16th to April 14th. And we have one member who's gone on military leave as of May 24th. And we expect that member to be on military leave until about July 3rd.
Can you go back for 1 second? The extended sick that you gave right before the military, when?
Yep, it
When
was
was that?
a March 16th to April 14th. So about a month,
Okay.
14 shifts. And as of May 22nd, we had an additional firefighter graduate the academy, so that now brings the second of 2 shifts to 11 firefighters. And so, again, we have 2 with 11, 2 with 10, all 4 shifts running a 10 firefighter minimum. This will be the first time in quite some time now, probably over a year, that we've had 11 firefighters assigned back to 2 shifts. So as we sit here today, we are at full roster strength. Just keep in mind a couple of those absences that have occurred just in the last few weeks.
And just a quick question, when you use sick leave and injury leave, are you using those interchangeably, or are they considered different?
So sick leave is a member's own sick time, injury leave is injury occurred at work. Any further questions with the budget?
So right now, Chief, as far as staff is concerned, 2 at 11, 2 at 10, so 22, we have 42 total staff on board.
Mhm.
And are we short any at this point?
No.
Okay. So we're fully staffed.
I'll move on to the fire marshal's office. Just a few things to report there. This past month, 10 plan reviews, 57 permits were processed, 50 public records requests, and 52 different inquiries, questions regarding one item or another. We called out the fire marshal's office on one occasion for a fire scene investigation, and you can see on the following page 8 different structure fires, building fires that occurred. I'm sorry, there was one car fire in there. 8 different fires that occurred in the month of May. And other than their routine inspection, there's nothing further to report on the fire marshal's office. And I have nothing further to report for the chief.
Any questions regarding the chief's report?
Not specifically about his report, just to, I did attend, just regarding the budget, I did attend, the, meeting of the Board of Finance after the budget passed. And, there was some public comments, supporting, adding 2 firefighters to the employment table. And there was a question to the chairman of the Board of Finance regarding the information that was given to him about the savings in contractual replacement line item when you have an 11-person shift that you had shared. He said he had never seen the numbers that showed it actually saved money. So I did get up and say that you had provided that information, and but I think we need to make sure that, and I don't know whether it should come from the commission, but that we send to the Board of Finance again the documentation that you showed that having an 11-man shift saved money when we were at 11 firefighter, I should say, not.
If I remember correctly, when you send that over, you send a copy of that to each of us.
Yes.
Via email.
So the email that was sent, and so I only communicated with the chairman of the Board of Finance. It wasn't all the members of the Board
Yep.
of Finance. So I think I forwarded you directly that email that was sent. I've been in touch with the first selectman since that meeting, kind of questioning that process myself, and he's assured me that we'll have a meeting with the chairman of the Board of Finance sometime in October or November to discuss this further.
Okay. I had told the members of the Board of Finance that I would make sure that they all have copies of those calculations, because I think it should impact their decision making.
Sure, you're welcome to,
Yep.
to send that to them. I'm directed to communicate only with the chair at any given time. So
Yep.
that's unfortunately my limitations.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering whether
Yeah.
from the commission, whether it would make sense to put something together in it, like some kind of correspondence, and then just send them copy of that spreadsheet that you had sent to us. So that was one thing out of the Board of Finance meeting. The other thing that that Mr. Frieda told the person who was questioning about the fire department was that there was a meeting between him and, he said, I believe you were there, and the union regarding staffing for next year. So Can you give us any insight into what that was about and what was discussed?
Sure. So the union had called for a meeting with the first selectman to discuss plans for future years, and there was a conversation about some of the different options that might be on the table, but it's all contingent upon the budget workshop next year.
Okay,
There's nothing discussed that anybody could commit to for this fiscal year that we're about to go into.
okay, because he made it initially sound like, that there was plans to get Northeast, the renovations completed up there, and that to start staffing that firehouse. Then in the end, he kind of said, he said that it would have to go through the referendum process. So,
Yeah, there may be an opportunity that there could be some improvements conducted at the Northeast Station in anticipation of, and I've had some conversations with he and Rich Monaco about what that might entail, but I don't know what they're going to be able to commit in the fiscal year that we're going into. That's entirely up to them.
okay,
Certainly, I'd like to thank Mary White and Tom. They
Yes.
have been advocates for our department and spoke very eloquently at the Board of Finance meeting in addition to the town meeting,
Mhm.
suggesting that we add 2 additional firefighters and that the cost savings and overtime would under the cost of those firefighters, and she was exactly correct. As we're aware, during the workshop, the chief presented the only one shift that we had with 11 firefighters, and at that time, it wasn't a complete year, but certainly it was on target to surpass what was initially projected at the 90,000
right,
number. And I'm hopeful that as we've added an 11 person on the second shift, those savings will be derived, but obviously they're already baked into the number. So I think that's something that I know the chief is having conversations with Mike and Rich. I think you may have already had that discussion.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to elaborate quickly, there was some confusion as to where the savings were. So it sounds like there's some conversation that I wasn't party of, that they're trying to identify the savings in the budget presently. The savings you're not going to be able to find in the budget because the contractual replacement staffing line has already been calculated to factor in those savings. And so you're not going to be able to look at the budget and say, okay, there's that $90,000 or $180,000. It's already factored into what that budget is anticipated to be.
right.
And so there seems to have been some confusion as to how that was calculated or where it was to be found, the savings. And so that's the conversation that I'm told will happen in October or November.
Okay.
So is that the same calculation that was used for the police department?
I don't know.
Any other questions of the chief regarding his report? Correspondence.
I have no further correspondence other than a routine day-to-day correspondence.
Have any commissioners received any correspondence? There are none, we'll move on to old business of the fire department.
A couple of quick things. We did conduct a final inspection of the 2 engines that we anticipate taking delivery of. We are looking at June. The final inspection showed a couple of things that we took issue of that were different than what were agreed to in the plans. So there's a few modifications that are going to be made to those engines so that they're compliant with the specs that they were provided and agreed to. And so we looking at about a 3-week delay in that. It's a good thing. This is what we send members to Ohio to go to this facility and do these several days of inspections for. And so it proved to be to our benefit. And we're fortunate that members caught it. And I just kind of want to mention that too. I think it's worth this commission to realize that the individuals who are serving on this ad hoc committee, if you will, they're volunteering their time. I mean, they're going out to Ohio 3 different times and spending several days at a time because they're committed to the department, they're committed to the service, and they find value in taking part in developing these engines because, quite honestly, they're the ones who are going to be serving on them for the next several years. And so it's to the credit of these want to say volunteers, but they're not volunteers, right? But they're volunteering their time of going out there and doing this. And so 3-week delay, we anticipate having them probably in service end of July at this point.
And once they're in service, this was also a topic that came up at one of the Board of Finance meetings, that the leased engine will go back.
Be returned.
Okay.
So that's a reduction of $3,000 a month that we're paying for that lease.
Yeah, for the last 2 fiscal years probably.
Right, that we didn't anticipate, that's for sure. Chief, certainly, on behalf of our commission, please thank the firefighters that volunteered the time to go down and inspect those 2 new apparatus. Deeply appreciated by us. I'm assuming we underwrote their cost as far as their housing, their hotel and food and
It's all
and
taken
travel?
care of. Yeah, it's all
Okay.
taken care of for the purchase.
Good, thank you. Well, again, please extend our gratitude to them.
Can one other just budgetary question that I was trying to figure out is, in the budget that we just got voted on, they took out the lease for the new engines, right? So is that because somewhere because the payments will start in this next fiscal year, right? So is the money someplace else and is going to be used?
So I questioned the same thing because I wasn't part of that conversation in terms of cutting it. I've been told by the first selectman that that they're going to structure. So we call it a lease, right? But it's not a lease like we would normally call it. It's a financed purchase,
Right.
is what it really is. And so I was told that they were going to work out the finance agreements with the bank as we take delivery, and worst case scenario, forego payment the first year, extend it out 5 more years, perhaps beyond that. I don't really get involved in that aspect of it. I have to stay within an overall budget, and then the town figures out everything else. But I was assured there would be no delay in the delivery.
Okay.
So that number, that was the $300,000 that they took out of the budget? Is that what you're speaking of?
Yes. And they were talking about the fact that we hadn't taken, that the apparatus hadn't come yet.
We haven't
So
taken delivery, yeah.
we had, because it was already in this year's budget, right?
It was in the budget prior to the referendum,
Right.
the second referendum.
But I mean, like the budget that ends in June, that amount was already in there, right? So I think that's what they're doing is they're pushing it forward because we didn't use it in the fiscal year that ends in June.
Let me check real fast, I can tell you. Yeah, so it looks like there was money put aside in this budget, correct?
Okay.
That we're closing out soon, yeah.
So obviously, there's some
There-
refinancing that is going to be taking place that the finance director and Mike will be coordinating and orchestrating. But I'm happy to hear the chief say that it will not delay the receipt of the 2 apparatus for us. So my expectation is that the payment will be made with the finance company.
Yep, okay.
Okay. Any correspondence received by any commissioners? And is that the only old business?
It's the
Chief?
only business I have,
All right.
yeah.
Any new business of the department?
Can we go back to old business for, I have like 2 other
Yeah,
questions,
right.
sorry. Any, besides getting the new apparatus, is there anything in terms of the current apparatus that, like, anything out of service, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, Engine 1 just came back after being out for almost a month. I mean, I could, the next time we meet, I can share with you the spreadsheet that we keep that kind of shows the ebbs and the flows of the
Okay.
in-service apparatus. I'll make sure I bring that with me next time. But it's, just, I'd like to say that it's all the old apparatus, and it's not necessarily the older apparatus. The newer apparatus seems like it's plagued with just as many issues sometimes because they're so electronic heavy that things are failing and things have to get sourced for parts still, no matter how new it is. And so operationally we're doing okay, but we just about ride that edge every day. And so we're looking forward to 2 new apparatus coming in so that, again, we're going to mirror more and more of our engines like one another, because right now there's some big variations in the engines that we have in town. So to get 2 more in that are like 2 others that we already have are going to help tremendously,
Yep.
especially when we have to use engines for different purposes. But I'll get you that spreadsheet next time we meet.
So, Chief, under this new budget that was just proposed, that was just passed, as far as equipment is concerned for our department, what type of equipment are we going to be able to purchase, and what kind of a time lag will there be from the time that we order it until the time that it gets delivered?
So again, the budget just passed
Right.
last week, and so we are expecting the second set of PPE for almost all personnel, and so we're already in conversations with that vendor now to secure that, and we hope to have that ordered soon because there's a lag time in that, obviously, for PPE.
Yeah.
So we hope to have that order placed in the month of July and have perhaps the delivery of that, most of it, maybe in September, so that we can, we're talking about cancer prevention. We want to move on that pretty fast. Then the other piece that we have to work with are some funding for the SCBA replacement. And so again, that was advocated for so that we don't have to replace all of our SCBA's
Right.
all at once. We can start to replace a handful at a time each year. And so we're in conversation with that as well. Same thing there. I would say 3 to 4 months for delivery.
Okay.
And those are the only 2 equipment purchases, if you will, that were capital for this upcoming fiscal year.
And as far as the existing equipment that we are currently using, in good repair, I know we were talking about the jaws of life, the battery usage, the strength of the devices, diminishing time. Are we experiencing any difficulty with any of that equipment?
We have 1 set still that is in need of repair, but we have 3 others, so we can usually make good use of it as long as those apparatus are available.
And it is repairable? That
no,
one unit, or
no.
replacement, it has to be
Yeah,
replaced?
has to be replaced.
Okay. And that's a $40,000?
Depends how extensive and how much of a set you want to get, but it's about $40,000, yeah.
Anything else on the new business? The good of the department.
Good to the department, I had nothing to report.
No one here for public comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah. Yeah, we did new business as well. We covered it. Yeah. We went fast.
Yeah.
You got those in those notes?
No one here for public comments. I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. I'd like to reconvene the Tuesday, June 18, 2024 North Haven Fire Commission meeting to order. We have a motion that needs to be made. Ms. Mulligan?
I make a motion to accept Justin Ball as a probationary member of West Ridge Company 3 effective immediately.
Excuse me, I think it's northeast.
It is northeast.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's northeast.
It's
Yep.
northeast?
Yeah, it's northeast.
Okay.
Would
can I
you
do
read
this
the
just
motion
read it
again, please?
I make a motion to accept Justin Ball as a probationary member of Northeast Company 4 effective immediately.
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second the motion.
Is there any question on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Any further business coming before this commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
This meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.